Good morning, everybody. Patty in here. Welcome back. Today is day 5 of our 7 days of SVGs. I hope you've been having fun making SVGs along with me, whether you're using the free version of the software or the business edition of the software for your Cricut machine. Again, though, don't forget, you can do all of these practices using just the free version to see if you like using the software. So let's get started by looking up at my screen. Hang on. So if you look up here, you'll see I'm just going to show you the ones we've already done. Remember the first day we did this fabulous Gryffindor Harry Potter vinyl project. This was so easy peasy. I hope you watched that. The second day we did Baby Piglet. Cute as a button, right? Baby Piglet. The third day we did Jasmine. The fourth day we did Baby Yoda. And I even showed how to quickly add an offset to him if you wanted to. Well, today we're ready to start with Poppy Troll. So here she is over here. I've already brought her in just like this, and I'm ready to get started. But before I do, let me show you what our goal is for today. This Poppy over here I've already done, and if I start clicking on different parts of her, I can pick her apart. So I can take her hair off, and this and this. So what I'm doing here now is I've made all these into individual pieces so that I can cut them out of vinyl or HTV or cardstock, depending on whether I want to use them on a shirt or maybe a notebook or something like that, or a wall, or a cake topper or a centerpiece, just like I made Winnie the Pooh centerpiece here, as you can see. He was done out of cardstock, double-sided, and you can look back in my other videos and you'll see how I did him. But let's get started now by starting to trace Poppy. Okay, just to refresh your memory, the way I do this is I went to Google and typed in Poppy Troll, and I hit enter, and I got to this page right here. The next thing that I always do is I go to Tools, right here, and well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Before I go to Tools, I go to Images. And tons of images show up. But I want to refine my search. So after I come here to Poppy Troll, and I click on Images, then I come up here to Tools. And the type of image I'm looking for is clip art. I could do line drawing, and then it would be a black and white image, which would be fine also. Or I could go ahead and do the other one, which is clip art, and then you get all the colored ones. So the one that I have on my desktop right now, or in my software, is a colored one. So maybe I'll just go ahead and get one that is not colored, but rather a line drawing, which will be black and white line. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to where it says size, and I'm going to change it from any size to large. And that probably is not as important right now as it will be later on when you learn to do print and cut images. But for right now, let's just get in the habit of using large. I'm going to look for a large image. And I'm going to look for one that I like, obviously. Okay, that one looks really good. I think I will use this one. So I'm just going to right click on this and go copy image, and then open up my software and say, let's move her over, right click and paste. Okay, she came in teeny tiny, but that's okay, not a problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch her out a bit. Now, there's something wrong with this image, and this is important for you to know how to do. Look at this over here on the right-hand side. Do you see where part of her ear is missing? That's so easy to fix, you guys. I used to think I had to mess with the nodes, which we messed with a little bit in prior classes. But anyway, I used to think I had to work with the nodes to fix that, but you do not. If this happens and something is cut off over on the right-hand side or the left, and you see it over here on the opposite side, all you have to do is double click on that image, and when you double click on it, you'll get 4 little boxes on each, or 1 little box on each of the 4 corners of your image. You can probably see them here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all I need to do is grab one of these and see my little hand turn into the little diagonal line with a box through it. Once it's like that, I can stretch this out so that, look what's happening. I'm getting her whole ear in there now, and that's exactly what I want. I may be able to also do this. Take this little one down here in the lower left and bring that in, and I might be able to get rid of that part that's over there. I don't want to bring it in so far that I start getting rid of some of the stuff on the left. You notice that? So just far enough to get rid of that. And that looks like it does it. Although, look down here. I must have moved this up a little bit too far, so let me drag one of these down so I make sure I get the whole thing. Okay, that is perfect like that. Do you notice now that I have all of Poppy in my image? So it's perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and trace her. So to do that, again, I'm just going to come over here to the trace tool. Again, as we've been learning in the past, 4 lessons, to me the trace tool looks like a piece of toast. To you, it might look like a butterfly. Whatever it looks like to you, all you have to do is come over here until you hover over the image that says open the trace panel. So click on that to open it. And the trace panel has been opened perfectly. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say select trace area. And then I'm going to draw a box around the image that I want to create into or turn into an SVG. So I'm going to come over here, hold down my mouse while I just grab all of this. Now let's imagine that I don't get it all grabbed. And I'm like, crud, I got to start again. Not really. What you can do is just grab one of these boxes here and stretch it down so it grabs the whole thing. Just like that. Okay, what I always like to do, as I've told you, is scroll in and look at the lines. So they look like they're finished lines. Okay, something about around the eyes looks a little bit like there's some spots missing. So I think I'll up the threshold a little bit, and let's watch and see what happens to the eyes when I do this. If the line gets better. Okay, that's just about good. Okay, perfect. Did you see this part right here closed and that closed? I'm loving it. Perfecto. Let's look over here. Perfect. Now, if I hadn't scrolled in, I probably wouldn't have noticed that. So I'm glad I did scroll in to look at that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say trace. And what this is going to allow me to do is just get rid of this box. I no longer need it like that. Now, I did bring this one in because I needed this to be able to know what colors to make her, because I don't remember. And I want them to be the exact colors. So the first thing I'm going to do, as I always do, and wait just a second. I see something and you might not be able to see it. Let me scroll in so you can. Can you see these extra little pieces here? These are little pieces that are going to think they need to be cut out. These little red lines are cut lines. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to try to get rid of anything like this while I can easily. I'm just going to double click on this, and that brings up these little guys, little squares that are called nodes or points for the point editing. And when my hand comes over here, or my arrow, and changes into a horizontal line, not horizontal, diagonal line, and a little square, I can click on one of those boxes, double click, and notice that it turns white, which means it is the active node. Do you see this here? This node right here is the active one. So since it's active, that means I can act upon it, and I am going to act upon it. I'm going to delete it by hitting delete on my keyboard. So delete. And then notice when I deleted that one that the next node in line became the active one. So again, I can just hit delete again, and that deleted all of that one. But I remember there's more. Let me scroll out and see if I can find those other. Aha, here's some more over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this to get the nodes again. And there will be another way to do this that I'll teach you in later lessons, but right now this works perfectly. When my hand turns into the diagonal line and the box, double click, get that little white box. That means it's ready to be edited however I'd like to, and I'm going to delete it by hitting delete on my keyboard. Delete. Keep hitting delete until they're all gone. Scroll back out so I can see if there are more, and there's another one right here. Whoops. Double click on one of those nodes. It becomes the white active node. Delete. Delete. Might have to double click again for some reason. Delete, delete. Okay, there we go. All right, let's scroll down and see if we see any more junk like that. And I think we are good to go. So, I don't think I see any more. I'm going to look really closely, though. If I find there... Oh, I see one down here. I was going to say, if I find there are some more later, I can still get rid of them. But I'm just going to get rid of this one now. See it right there? Hit it. Double click. White nodes. Hit delete on my keyboard. Gone. Perfect. Okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do, and this is what we always do when we're making an SVG, is to come up here and change the color. After I clicked on this to highlight it, change it to a color that I won't be using in my final version of Poppy. And I know I won't be using purple, a light purple. So I'm going to change the crosshatch area to a light purple. Okay, that makes all of the outlines and everything a light purple. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say Object, Release Compound Path. And the reason why I have to do that is because right now I cannot click on individual pieces of Poppy. It's all connected. It's a compound path or one thing. I want to release that compound path so that I can select every little component that makes up Poppy. So watch. I'm going to come up here to Object, Release Compound Path. When I click on that, that's going to make everything on her selected little boxes. Just like that. See that? And that's going to allow me to color each of these separate pieces different colors. So let's start with her hair. I'm going to click on her hair, and I'm going to come up here to the upper left-hand corner, click on the paint palette there, and since I want to make it the exact color that Poppy is, I'm going to come here to the eyedropper and click on her hair color. That changed it right here to make it the exact color I want, and it made it the most recent color I used right up here. So let's see, I'm going to do the rest of her hair. Click on this piece, come up here, and change it to this color right here because the one in the upper left hand corner is the one I most recently used. Click. Okay, all of her hair is not done, so I'm going to click on this piece, come up here, and change it to that color. Okay, I think that is all of her hair because this is an eyebrow. Looks like that's all of it on this one. So the next thing I'm going to do is I guess I will get her skin color. So I'm going to grab her ear, come up here to the paint palette. I want it to be the exact color, the one that they have it as right here. So I'm going to come to the eyedropper and then come down here and click on her ear. Notice if I accidentally click on the blue, it's going to make her ear blue. That's not what I want. I wanted the eyedropper to get the color of her ear, so I have to hover over that and get that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to click off, and then I'm going to click on her other ear. But I'm noticing that her face is the same color as her ears, so I'm going to hold down my Shift key and grab her face. And her arm is the same color. And her other arm, so I'm all the time holding my Shift key down while I'm doing this. Don't let go of it. Get her leg and her other leg. I think I got everything. Let's check it out. I'm going to come up here to the color swatch area and change it to pink. See if I got everything. Okay, to me it looks like I got everything right now. I may be able to tell later at the very end if there's anything I missed. The next thing I think I'll do is her nose, and actually it looks like her nose is the same color as her hair. So here's the color I recently used that was her skin. This was the blue color I accidentally got, and this was the color of her hair, so I'm going to click on this one. There we go. Okay, now let's do her dress. So I'm going to click on her dress, hold down my shift key, the other pieces of her dress. These little teeny weeny pieces, I think I'll scroll in to get those. So right now I'm just going to come up here to the color swatch. I'll just get the eyedropper and get her dress. As you can see, it looks like there's a couple little pieces here that are part of her dress. And in order for me to be very accurate, I like to scroll in so I can see it more clearly. So I'm going to grab this part of her dress, hold down my shift key and get that little piece, and then come up here and click on the color that I used. I'm going to scroll back out because I can see on this gal right here, these little flowers are the same color. So I'm going to click on this flower, shift this one and this one. Then I'm going to come up here, change it to the blue. Perfect. All right, let's see what else do we have to do. The green. Lots of green here. I'm going to click on this, hold down my shift key, get this tiny piece. If I can't get it, I could scroll in further. This little piece, I'm holding down my shift key all the time. This, oh, I messed up. I didn't want that. Yikes. So I'm going to uncheck. Start again. I'm going to scroll in just like I told you so I can see better. There we go. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to click on this piece. Now notice I got the nodes instead of what I usually get. If that ever happens to you and you get the points or the nodes, you can easily just come up here to the selection tool and click on that, and it will change it automatically. Then you can hold down your shift key and grab the next piece, and the next piece, and the next, and the next. Just going through here, clicking in the middle of each one of these pieces so that you get the piece. And let's see. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to not do this piece right here. It's awfully tiny. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. But I am going to go ahead now and scroll back out so I can see my other puppy and come up here to the color palette area, the eyedropper, and get the green. So let's see. I was saying that I thought this piece was too little to worry about right here. I actually see two pieces I'm going to get rid of. This piece right here, so I'm going to double click on it to get the nodes, click on it again to get the one that's lit up or white. Then I can just start hitting delete on my keyboard till it's gone. I'm going to do the same thing with this little triangular shape thing over here. I don't think it needs to be cut out. So I'm going to double click on it, and when it turns into the diagonal line and the little square, click on one and start deleting them till they're gone. Perfecto. All right, let's scroll back out so I can see what else do I want to color. I think I will do, let's see, I think I'll change her color now to black, this purpley color, so I can see what it really is going to look like. So I click on the outer edge, and I know I have the purple outer edge clicked on because if I look up here, look what color has been selected, and I'm going to change that to black. All right, look what that does. That looks terrific. But you can see we still have some work to do. Some work similar to what we had done in the past. So I'll do the easiest things first, as you recall how to do these. We're going to click on this little stripe in her ear, hold down the shift key, and click on the ear. And I'm going to come over here to what's called the modify panel again. Click on that to open it, and then click on the word subtract. So what that did was it subtracted that little purple part right out of that ear. Do you see that? So that ear is going to be cut like that with this little swiggly thing cut out of it so that the black from the backing will show. Okay? You can do the same thing with her eyebrow. Click on her eyebrow, hold down the shift, click on her face, and say subtract. Okay? The mouth, click on that, hold down the shift, click on her face, subtract. The outer edge of her nose, click on that, hold down the shift, get her face, and subtract. Okay, let's look and see what we have so far. All these pieces are going to be cut out of that vinyl or that cardstock. Let's go back and scroll in. I see something I want to get rid of. So I'm going to use that little bug magnifier and scroll in. See this little piece right here? I don't feel I need that piece. So I'm going to click on it and delete it. Okay. This piece right here is her iris. So I'm going to color that a brownish color. Now notice I can't color it anything right now because when I clicked on it, the nodes or the points showed up. I need to come up here and make it be the select tool again, and now I can change its color to brown. Although I don't think that's what's brown. Let's undo that. I think that maybe this little piece is brown, this thing. So I'm going to change that to the brown. And then I think this piece is the brown piece. So I would try it out and see. Yep, brown. Okay, this inner piece then would be black because that's her pupil. And this piece would be black because that is her pupil. Let's see, I think this whole part should be black. I think. Let me double check. Let's get her over here and look. I'm going to go ahead and change this. Click on this, hold down my shift key, get her face, come over here to the modify panel again. That's the rectangle and the circle, and say subtract. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make that little ring black, I think. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these eyes, rather than being the purpley color that they look like they are, if you look up here, I'm going to make them white. The whites of her eyes should be white. So there we go. And white. So she's pretty much done now. The only other thing is I wanted to change this color, and I may have already done this because I rewound the video a little bit. So if I did, excuse me, I'm just going to change it to the color of her skin, which is this one. Okay. So she's basically pretty much ready to go. Let's see. So what I would do now is I'll move this one off the mat, and I'm actually going to just totally delete her because I don't want her to mess up what I'm working on. And I'm going to scroll out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to start selecting her by color, and I'm going to make them a compound path so they'll stay together as if they're one piece. And this is really, really helpful, especially if you're using vinyl or HTV. And it's really helpful if you're using this in Cricut, so in Design Space. So the first thing I do is I just come up here to the paint palette, and if you hover over it, it says select by color. I'm going to click on that. Notice when the panel comes open over here, it usually opens where it says select by color, and then it says by line. But I don't want it by line, I want it by fill. So all of these colors are colors that are used in my image. The only thing I'm seeing here, something weird, is that there's this purple color, which should not be in my image. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on that purpley color and just hit delete. Okay, because I shouldn't have to have any of that in there. So I just totally deleted it, and my image still looks perfect, no problems. So I'm going to start like this. The black, well, the first thing I'm going to do with the black is I am just going to take the outer part out, right? And that we know is already a compound path. We can't make it a compound path because it is one piece already. But There is some more black over here that I do want to keep together because I am going to have to put these pieces on at the end on the very top. So right now I have it set to only select shapes on the media. The mat, this area is considered your media. So it's not going to select this part. So when I click on the black, all it's going to do is select the black that's over here on the media. So then I can come up here to Object, make a compound path, and then I can, whoopsie, Control Z. Let me get that again. Object, make a compound path. I've already done it. So I should be able to move those out. But let's go ahead and do these other ones first because I'm having a hard time selecting that. So we'll go on to the pink part next. That is her skin, her face, her ears. So we'll go to Object, make compound path. And now we should be able to move those out all as one piece just like that. The next thing I'll do is the blue, that's next in order. Object, make compound path. So everything comes out as one piece. Here's the thing, if I didn't make it a compound path, this is what would happen. When I would want to move, I can just move these willy-nilly anywhere, right? But if I'm doing this out of vinyl, I'd really like them to stay in place so I could just use my transfer tape, pick them up, put them down where I need them to be. So let me hit Control Z as in zebra, whoops, to get that green piece back. So now I'm going to go to the, wow, looks like in order now I should go to this red, which is her hair color. So once that's selected, I can right click on here if I prefer and just say make compound path. And that makes it into one piece just like this. Okay, so now we're on to the white. And I can right click and make compound path or come to Object, make compound path. There we go. Okay, and now the green, all selected, Object, make compound path. It'll all stay together in vinyl. And the last one is the brown, the irises of her eyes. Right click, make compound path. So now this is ready to be cut. So I can bring everything back over here right now and just build her. I would be building her right on top of, let's see, how does this go? Looks weird. Right on top of the black piece. And that's the way I like to do it. Now this goes right here. If you've followed me for any length of time, you know I have trouble sometimes with puzzle pieces. And I'm noticing something really tiny right here. This little piece, see this? Do you really think we need it? We could get rid of that if we wanted to, but I'll leave it for right now. Okay, let's see. The green. And so it doesn't matter if I get this together perfectly here on the mat because I'm going to be putting it together obviously later in real life, with vinyl or cardstock. So this is just to get us an idea of what it's going to look like. So at any rate, now what I can do is I can just go to make this. So let's check it out. If I go to send, and again, my machine is not turned on, so it's going to look a little bit weird, but I would change it to fill color because I'm going to cut by fill color. I would toggle all of these off. And now I would probably change them all to vinyl if that's what I was using, just so I wouldn't forget. So I'd change them all to vinyl. Maybe I'm using vinyl matte. That's what I usually choose. Cardstock. No, I'd change them all here. Vinyl matte. And I would go down and change all of those. The action I would have is cut. And right now you'll notice it says that there's no tool selected right here. That's because, or no tool detected, it says down here. That's because my machine is not turned on. If my machine was turned on, it would automatically notice that I had the auto blade in there. So I would change all of these and auto blade would show up automatically over here for everything. So what I would do is cut the black first. Now I can move these things off of here if I'd like to. And move these and just have it cutting the black. Which is this, these little pieces and this. Right? So that's what it's going to cut first. And when those are done, I would just move these off of the mat. That was black and that was black. Uncheck the black and go on to the next one, which is the pinky color of her skin. Now again, remember, anywhere you put this on your mat is where you better have your vinyl or you better have your cardstock, whatever, your HTV, because this is exactly where your machine's going to go to cut this when you send it. Okay? So if you want to start using some of the lower right-hand corner of your mat, put your vinyl or your cardstock or your HTV down there in the lower right-hand corner and go ahead and send it just like this. When that's done, I always move them off my mat so I can remember I'm done with everything on the left. These things over here haven't been cut yet. So I would go like this and continue on like this. And now I'll show you what we'll do for Cricut. Okay, for Cricut now, we're up to this point and we're ready to go. I'm going to show you the same thing that I show every day, just in case this is the first day you're joining us. So if the rest of you have seen this, sometimes repetition, or not sometimes, always repetition is the way we learn. So let's just follow me now and see how to use this in Cricut Design Space. As you know, if you're using the free version, you won't be able to save this with Cricut. Here's why. Let me show you. If I grab this whole thing and maybe even group it, it's selected right now, right? If I come up here to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, notice the options I'm given right here. I am only given 3 ways that I can save this. Silhouette files and a GSP file. Those will not work for my Cricut machine. So again, as I've said since the beginning, you can learn to use this software, use it perfectly well, and decide if you like it and want to spend the $48 to purchase the software for a one-time shot for your Cricut machine. Link down below for that if you're interested. But let me show you what happens. This is the free version right now that I'm using. If I want to save this for my Cricut, I have to have the business edition. So right now I'll change my software to that edition because I own it. So I'm going to say View in Business Edition. And you'll see the change that this makes. Right now I have the same thing selected. I have Poppy selected. Now I'm going to come up here to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. But I want you to see the difference. Sorry about that, I got a phone call. But here's the difference now. Remember when we had the free version, we were only able to save it 3 different ways. Check this out. Now we can save it many more different ways. Right now, the most important one for us is SVG. If we were doing a print then cut, I would say the most important one for me, if I was using this with my Cricut machine, is save it as a JPEG. Anyway, we may learn more about that later. We do learn about all the different things in my Patreon class. So if you want to learn more and more and more about using this and having one-on-one instruction once a month, join our Patreon class. It's a good deal. It's fun. It's only $5. You'll learn a lot. Anyway, so right now what I would do is I would save this as an SVG. I will name it Poppy Troll, number 5, Poppy Troll. And I'll just say for Cricut, just so I remember this is the one. Okay, so since I've saved it as an SVG now, it will work. I should have shown you, as if you had not seen it before, how it doesn't work if I try to use the other file. And actually I can show you that. So let's go back to Cricut Design Space and cancel this out. Go to New, Replace, Upload, Upload an image. Let's say I'm going to browse for my Poppy Troll, the silhouette file, which was the only version I could save it in the free version. So I'll click on this and see what happens. Oh, it says you've selected an unsupported file type. Select a different file type. So then, after I've purchased the business edition, and I could save it as an SVG, that's what I'm going to open now. So check this out. Poppy Troll for Cricut. Now if I hover over it, look what it says. The type of file is an SVG. The one I tried to open, when I hover over it, you can see it's a Silhouette Studio document. Cricut won't open that. Cricut will open the SVG file. So I'll click on this, click on it, and say open. No warnings at all. She comes in beautifully just like this. I can say save. She's here, click on it, and then say insert the image. I may need to resize her to whatever size I'd like her to be, but here she is. These are the layers that make her up, and I could ungroup it if I wanted to and do some things, but let's just right now go to make it and see how this looks. Okay, so there are the whites of her eyes. There's the black part that we need, and the little black pieces we need right here as well. There's the green, and since we made it a compound path over in our software, it comes in exactly the way we need it to, so that I can just put my transfer tape down over this and pick it up and then place it on my t-shirt, or, well, I wouldn't use transfer tape for a t-shirt. I could just weed it and put it on my t-shirt if it were HTV. So again, here's the blue, and each one of these pieces or each one of these colors that we need. So it works perfectly. I could just continue. I'd have to choose my Air 2 machine, which is not turned on either. If it were turned on, it would tell me to select the type of material I want to use, and I could begin cutting. So let me get out of that, since that is not going to be an option. Cancel that. Yes, cancel it. So I'll go back to my software one more time, and here it is. Again, this just shows how easy it is to create SVGs in this software. So tomorrow's class is going to be on making this guy right here. I hope you'll join me. Thanks. Hey, don't forget to check out my links down below and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Thanks. Bye, you guys.